Hi there, welcome to Carcassonne with Utze again. Yeah, just full screen. So, man. What a beginning. It's the Ukraine Carcassonne Online Championship, another quarterfinal. This time it's Nazario versus Random 23. These two have met quite often. All these games over here, let me zoom have taken place in the last 10 months. And as you can see, in the later stages of their careers, Random seems to have the upper hand over Nazario. But as you can see over here, this is more or less the last 10 months of Random's ratings. He oscillates between the higher 400s and more or less the lower 600s, middle 600s. Hasn't achieved the master rank as of now, whereas Nazario, on the other hand, has reached the 700 threshold sometime last year, even though it's not visible in this graph, and doesn't seem to crack the 500s on the downturn. So although their latest results tell a different story, I'd favor Nazario today, even though only slightly. So let's say 53% or something like that. Let's just hope that they start soon. So Nazario is online. Let's check. Random is online as well, so it'll likely only take a few seconds for them to then start. Yeah, here we go. Finally, I've managed to catch the first move of a game today. Yeah, so Nazario is the home team, as so to speak, so he's playing with the yellow meeples. Random is wasting precious time. Let's hope he doesn't need it in the end. Same goes for Nazario, thinking where to put the curve. I'm not really familiar with Random, by the way, but I've played Nazario in this year's MSO playoffs and was luckily able to sweep him 2-0, but if I remember correctly, both games were pretty close and should be available in my archive on YouTube, because I think the qualification videos I did, I only need to sometime dedicate a few hours to the playoffs, because there were quite a few matches there which were pretty interesting. So first monastery goes to Random. Nazario looks like he hasn't done anything here, but of course he got this small city and another cap, and I'd rather take these two caps than all this crap here at the bottom. Yeah, Random has to defend, can't risk losing these two meeples at this early stage of the game. Nazario has no problem leaving this for now. There's enough time to attack this later on. Yeah, please ignore warning messages. Oh, actually, I could quickly change the color here. Yeah, this should work better. So able to take another 6 points in the bank, added another open city cap. So nice start and definitely an easy start for yellow. Not really anything to think long and hard about. Blue, on the other hand, got a few pieces which usually are pretty nice, but this time tad annoying as well. So first, not ideal move for yellow. Had no better use for this dagger than to close their city. Could have considered this one here. Annoying the road a bit, and putting pressure on this square. It looks like he doesn't want to force the issue, considering as long as blue doesn't get anything to place next to the monastery, they can't really liberate the road. Else they'd risk the health of these two. Nice draw for blue, getting the road monastery for the sinister hamster. Nazario limits this to curves and the remaining road monastery, considering 5 roads curves are already gone, so pretty useful limitation. Had more or less nothing else to do with the curve, and also creates this platform for harassment of the road. Trying to attack the other road, well, were 4 points, not really that useful. Yeah. Quite likely closing this one and deliberating whether to meeple the city cap. Why not? There's definitely an okay chance to close the city. Doesn't like to do it. I mean, some road plus city pieces are gone, so it's not without risk, but leaving this empty could have been used by random, and if he'd only draw a cap that fit there, and random is ahead right now due to these monasteries mostly. Also added the first farmer. Zario tries to counter. There is another farm over here. Wise choice by random to take it. Oh, and one thing I wanted to say about random's development. According to the ELO rating graph, he started in the spring of last year to play Carcassonne, at least online. Had ratings of around 200, 300, and looks like learned to play very well in a pretty quick time. So my money is on random to become a master next year. Don't know how many folks from Ukraine will become master in the meantime, though. They seem to churn them out each month. Yeah, using an extender for field attacks is always a double-edged sword because your hinterland is not existing. And if you get blocked, then this is a 0-point meeple. So let's see if random does anything about this. For now, he has to consider whether to use any of the monastery squares or maybe even use this one to try to block this later. So like this, for example. And with only 2 meeples in hand, can't use this monastery really lightly, but I guess the problem with this square was the road end, and he didn't want to endanger that one. And maybe he had hoped to block this feed unification here and there. So with this field growing and almost eclipsing the worth of the main field, looks like Nazario will have to meeple this one later. Also, blue could have used the monastery to attack the field. And if he doesn't, yellow quite likely will do sometime soon. Right now, the field is worth 12 points. And up here is a lot of room to still grow it. Now he's considering whether to liberate the road meeple or take care of this city piece here. Yeah, here goes the idea of taking the other side of blue's field. This here is especially nice because there's only a ninja attack available for now. This square is, at least for the purpose of field attacks, dead because all rotoritos are gone. There's only one horse left. Great attack over here by random, using the supplied platform to put pressure on yellow here. So still the 4 curves remaining. Long time waiting for blue to get one. Yeah, with the last meeple, Nazario can't use the monastery. 10-point move by blue, but the downside is the connection now is possible, and this would remove 12 points from blue's score. So he'd love to get, for example, a cow to split this off for good. Of course, vanilla is also really, really nice. Yellow decided to close their city. Could then use the monastery while blue liberates theirs, and this year should be worth the investment of a few pieces to kill it. And there is this option for yellow to try to take over the city or ruin, and there's also a splitter still available. So if yellow were to get the splitter and then could connect here, this would be nice for them, especially because then closing the city would be pretty tricky. Would still work. Quickly illustrate like this, for example. Yeah, and the extender isn't really that useful for yellow. Can't use it over here, really can't attack anything, can't use it for blocking purposes. Yeah, that's no, that move I don't like, because if you now attack here, just created a platform to kill this attack immediately with one piece. So definitely not ideal. But now that blue added this one, it works again. At least a few pieces are gone. So if yellow were to attack like this, then blue couldn't use the roses to kill this square. Yeah, let's see if blue figures out the right orientation. This one or something like this. In a case like this, only the starting tile could be used to block. And this way, curves and crossroads would work. So 3-to-1 pieces. And if you use it like this, then of course any Dorito or cow could be used by yellow to also attack this over here and at least not let blue run away with it. Okay, doesn't do anything about it, so this will be killed now. Opts to take the 6-point field, which, if it doesn't get the splitter, will stay a 6-point field. But at plus 30, this might work. So yellow definitely has to take over this city, or rather ruin, right now. They really like to liberate the monastery to get a meeple back on, and of course connect here and maybe even there, which then would remove a total of 18 points from blue score. Yeah, this one is dead. Doesn't really do anything. I think the priority would have been this move here to kill these squares and not allow yellow to attack the ruin. It's worth... Okay. And what is this? I mean, there is still an attack possible like this, but that's easily blocked. Blue doesn't care about it. Okay. Oh, I don't get this. I mean, use this one over here, then Doritos don't do anything against your block, against your attack. And the only piece blue could use to kill this would be the exact piece you need to connect. So it's a 50-50 anyway. But this here, at least to me, doesn't make any sense. If any of you has an idea, please chime in the chat. Yeah, picking up scraps is no good. Why not close this one? Add a farmer there. That's the same meeple investment, but plus 4 points. So looks like Nazario has already conceded this game. So any option to attack over here is dead. There are no connection pieces here or there, and there as well. All big city tiles and the 3 extenders are gone. Hi, Pakshi. Yeah, I remember the name. I think it's listed on the masters list on Carcassonne.gg. Let me highlight your message. The 50-50. So you mean with the cow over here and the attack? Yeah. I can only concur. So what's on the clock? Plus 28 random. Yeah, this is done and dusted. Even if Nazario would have been able to connect these 3 fields, it would still be a difference that's at this point in the game too large to overcome. So let's see if he can up his focus in the second game, because some moves here were not as precise as I know he can play. So we'll see. This match is the best of 5, by the way. So then all the more reason to take a quick break and get some fresh air, maybe drink a sip of tea, and then come back and try to bring your A game in all further games of this best of 5 match. So take a sip of tea, I'll do. So, yeah. This looks like pleasantries in the beginning. This looks like, come on, let's start the next game as fast as possible. Looks like Nazario wants to forget about this showing here. An okay start in a game. Taking the city is always nice. If you can't get the shielded extender, of course. Mm, Nope. I don't like this move at all. You have 7 meeples in hand. You could take 2 points, and this way, sometimes it exactly this here happens. Your opponent gets a useful road end or a curve, starts ring road, gets 4 easy points with otherwise pretty useless tiles in the beginning. And if you only had taken this one here, this wouldn't be the case. But as long as blue doesn't complain in the end, that's okay with me. Endangered square here. 2 starting tiles gone. Plus the road in the vicinity. Yeah, because of pressure here and the option to limit this to a crossing across the road, yellow decides to invest the dagger just to liberate the road meeple, get out of blue's way. At least they got the field, which looks to be a promising one with all these green real estate on the right side. Annoying city by blue, but if you haven't anything else in your arsenal to harass it, use the straight. As suboptimal as it may seem, it at least removes quite a lot of city caps from blue's options. So 4 straights gone, still 3 crossroads left, and the 2 remaining starting tiles. So the importance of protecting isn't that big because this monastery is at 8 points anyway, and if yellow were to add a city piece over here, the upside of taking this with another starting tile could have at least been considered. Yeah. Yellow does what they have to do. Blue should follow suit. And now let's see if yellow attacks. No, blue takes the safe route. Hopes to get one of the 3 remaining cows and another Dorito. And quickly, please, because you don't want to see yellow doing any shenanigans over there. Meanwhile, the antsiness of yellow adding a Dorito to a perfectly safe extender city allows blue to attack this, although there were only 2 tiles in the deck to do this exact move, but there were a lot more to try and kill this yellow city. So with this one here, maybe just leave it as it is and use the Dorito elsewhere. If you have enough meeples in hand and yellow had 4. Yeah, and here comes the trouble for blue. The attack from yellow. No defense option, and bam, 2 dead meeples, and now the cow doesn't matter anymore. So with the score more or less tied, blue's best hope seems to be to at least wall off this field on the right side, so this farmer doesn't score more than these 3 points. And then the one lost meeple isn't really that big of a deal, because the ruin in the end would score at least 8 points versus yellow's 3, but it's quite difficult to limit this over here and there. The prime pieces to kill it off here would be the horses, and 2 are already gone. So move like this, and then adding a cow up top should be a nice idea. I think this is not ideal. Yellow found a nice monastery spot here and a useful city continuation. Of course, not leaving an empty city cap behind, even though in a few cases both of these meeples might die. But that's a risk you have to be willing to take, at least against opponents of randoms caliber. So what to do? Yeah, works. I would have liked this one here, and then ideally a Dorito to block this square, then the starting tile. This here is a bit timid, and with 5 meeples in hand, why not be a bit more aggressive? It was unlikely that yellow would take these 3 points, because they'd rather take them there with a crossroad. So couldn't do a lot about this one. And oh yeah, sure. The other option they should have considered was this, because then you'd kill roughly 65% of remaining city caps, maybe even more. And in both cases, me playing the monastery would have been a must, of course. And the additional positive value of this one here would have been a platform to harass the other city and the road later on, maybe. Yeah, and the problem was then they had to waste a beautiful rose. So the field now has extended on the left, um, will extend up top, and maybe it's time to attack it over here. Orientation maybe like this better. Priority was the farmer. But overall, it looks quite good for Nazario. This here is a bit iffy because there's only one right-handed dagger remaining. So worst case would be cow. It's putting pressure on 2 squares of yellow. That's the other dagger. And given blue is behind, I guess the simple continuation of their city, not giving a lot of options to block this one or reattack it, which wouldn't have been the case if they'd used it there. So, sound move. Yellow with 4 points, creating a secondary field. Well, if it weren't for the 2 remaining splitters, the self-block might be even of interest, but as is, this here definitely works better. Now yellow would really love to get their hands on a crossroad. Didn't I call it? That's perfect. Now blue needs the right-handed dagger if they want to have any chance of closing the city, and might even. Do they really consider adding a piece to Yellow's monastery as long as the city is open on the left? I don't think so. Although there aren't that many road pieces left for Yellow to liberate the monastery anyway, just one crossroad, straight and curve each, plus the road monastery, and yeah, well, there are the more adventurous options like this one. So it's iffy, but maybe it's okay. Maybe it's even a must, considering the score difference and this here being the most likely option for blue to score somewhat big points. The field, if it gets unified, is worth 9 points. That's really not enough to fight about. So maybe hoping to get the road monastery over here, standing the field and then taking it over. Meanwhile, yellow with 3 meeples in hand could consider something like this and hoping to draw the road monastery themselves. This here is always a bit iffy, but as long as your opponent uses his pieces elsewhere and has no way to pressure you, this works. Could have used the cow like this to reduce yellow's chances of closing the city more or less to the remaining splitter. But there is this juicy shield, and it's worth 3 points due to the added cap to the ruin. And maybe that's exactly the point they'll need in the end, but right now it looks like it won't really help. But they have 3 to 1 meeples. This one here will be stuck there. This one quite likely as well. But now they get the road meeple back, finally. And these two, we'll see about them. There are still Doritos out there and enough city caps. Only a few with roads, but still. Talking about city caps, blue doesn't get one to pre-close their city and flipping for the dagger. Yeah, complicates the city project even a tad more. But the score difference doesn't help blue's case, and this here could be the dagger and the figurative one, not the piece for their city. Now they need the dagger, likely the starting tile or combination of road Dorito plus any other cap and another cap up top. So that's a tough ask here. Yeah, yellow blocks themselves or their monastery to the remaining road monastery just to prevent blue from closing the city easily. And I can only applaud a move like this. This shows that they have their priorities straight, this time at least. So for now, it looks pretty much like Nazario will be able to tie the match. Yeah, random. I think he has to take it. If it weren't for the liberation of this monastery, this should be a no-brainer at this score. But giving yellow the monastery, the meeple back, I'd hate to do that. But there aren't many pieces to kill this option over here. So he needs to get the caps anyway, and the Rotorito, and this would be all the pieces to block. So, well, not many. Did I say not many? Well, 6 out of 13. So 50%, and that's why he opts for this here. 6 points, no meeple back to yellow. Let's see if he goes for it at minus 19. What else is out there? Use this one over here. Yep, exactly. And then just draw the other two. Because with this move, yellow killed all their options of blocking this one here, except for the starting tile. So that one wasn't great at all. But it gives back an attacking option. But this attacking option would only work by drawing the starting tile because there are no other road pieces left. Yellow tries to prevent blue from closing this one, but blue defends and then draws what they had to draw. The third city cap of exactly 3 city caps they needed to close the city. And it looks like the only thing they think about is whether to meeple the road or take the meeple to use it later elsewhere. And they decide that's the way to go. So their problem now is that there still are 3 tiles out there to connect yellow. So yellow will connect over there. The only question is when, and is there any way for you to counter? And that's the problem. There's no curve left, so this one doesn't work. Over here would work, but there's no piece to attack there. The road monasteries are gone. Doesn't help. So they concede, take the 6 points or 7 points with the one for the monastery. Play the best moves possible, but it's just not enough. So in the end, what quite likely hurt pretty much was this insurance meeple over here to prevent yellow from attacking the city. In a case like this, I'd rather add this Dorito over there and risk getting killed, but at least then it wouldn't be 2 meeples of me being killed. But that's easy to say when you don't play the game yourself. So let's check, and they don't need breaks. They just go on. I need a quick break though. The good news regarding these breaks is that tomorrow there'll be a co-host when the next UCOC quarterfinal is on the menu. It's Basiliuk versus Lawyer at 17 UTC. So set your clocks. That's what I'm talking about. Even a simple road scrap like this can be useful sometimes. So don't waste it in the beginning. Try to use it profitably, at least somewhere. And if it's only to create a platform for a platform to attack or harass something, that's better than just dumping it nilly-willy somewhere and no. The fear of being left with this road part alone and then this square blocked isn't the best advisor when there are still other city pieces out there which you could take with this Dorito. So again, too timid, at least in my book. This looks like just a dumped curve, but actually it at least creates a backdoor option to block one of Blue's monastery squares. Yeah, Blue liberates the road. At least they are the ones to get the 2 points. But in the end, it's a 6-point loop road, and Blue invested 4 pieces versus Yellow's 2. So small win for Nazario in this encounter. This one here is just to not let Blue get easy quick points and kill their option to use extenders and splitters like this one profitably. So it's worth investing the Dorito even with a shield. Although depending on your playing style, you of course could consider this move as well. Not just the playing style, but point in the game, score, meeple situation, etc. So yellow adds another piece to a possibly shared city. Will try kill this square and then have the more profitable side of the ruin for themselves. The risk about this configuration is always a splitter and then the opponent drawing a big city tile and a cap. But that's not happening every game, so as long as you know it, I think it's still okay to do it this way. Yeah, annoying situation, not having an open cap, which could be nicely used with this one, and that's down to closing the city at the top. Or was this Blues? Let's quickly check. It was Blue City. Okay, I'm sorry. Then there's really nothing Yellow could have done about it. But in this case, maybe putting it here anyway and hoping to draw the not the dagger. Damn it. It's late for me. The splitter, or hoping for Blue to use a Dorito there and then jump at the city to take it over again might have been a better option than leaving this. Because once blue gets the curve, you need the dagger. In this case, that's not really a big problem because all 3 daggers are still out there. But it could become a problem nonetheless. So yellow opts for this here, knowing full well that blue is very unlikely to attack here, seeing that 3 cows are already gone. So waiting to be obstructed, knowing full well 3 daggers are still in the deck. And they get one immediately. Nice draw for them. Yellow doesn't get anything to kill this here. Of course, they don't invest the Rito to limit this to 50-50 when any random road piece would be sufficient to kill it. Now, for example, the curve works fine. And you win the mini battle, or quite likely will win the mini battle, at least by 7 points. Yep. I think this is okay. Yellow getting okay. It was the penultimate one. There are still 3 curves out there. But of course, these 7 points would be pretty precious. And over here, the block, I think, wasn't as likely as a block or attack over here. So not sure I would have used the dagger there. My gut feeling says rather close this one, even if this here gets limited to a 50-50, you'd still have a chance to use it later, and it's unlikely blue would meeple the farm in the meantime. At least if it stays in this shape and isn't extended somewhere. And now he opts to give blue another option to attack this. There are still 2 horses out there, and close score could have been considered, especially monastery here with 3 curves still remaining is rather easy to liberate. This one here not as easy. But blue opts to take the quick points. The downside is once the curve is placed here, these 3 points would be added to yellow's field. The upside, though, is they could take the farm themselves. Maybe a bit unnecessary. Blue has an open city cap. So removing the field city caps from the ones you could use here. Not sure if that's the best way to approach this situation. You have the temporary meeple majority, so creating a field over here would have been in your interest. In the long run, though, this might work out better keeping this here as the only really useful field. Yeah, annoying as it is, there is only this here to score quick points. Likely thinks about whether it's worth his while to do something about this city cap, but at -6 might have to risk it or take it. Why not? Blue takes the field. Yep, like this. Sure. Blue can't do anything against this for now, and even if they could, there'd still be 2 caps left, no matter what they'd put here. So the biggest threat would be something like this, because splitters are gone, or of course the quadruple city. Don't we all hate it when someone adds it to our cities in the end? I don't get this rotation. This way you limit the options of blue to expand the field up north if it stays separated. And now we have a dead tie with yellow having 2 meeples in hand and blue just the one. So finally getting a curve would be really great. And this here is dead. There is no left-handed dagger remaining. And if blue doesn't get the curve pretty soon, then yellow will just outscore them. I should tell the deck more often what needs to happen. And of course, he takes the 6-point farm. Oh. Great timing curve. Let's see. 6 points is the difference right now. Yellow has 1 meeple more in hand than blue. There's a 6-point monastery spot to invest it. There will be a field attack incoming on the left side. Well, might be, should be. Let's see. Here we go. There's the field attack. The only problem, though, there were only 2 pieces to connect, and one is gone because it's in blue's hand. And the only one remaining is the dagger over here. The good news, though, for yellow is this can't be blocked without using 2 pieces. And it doesn't look like blue can afford to use these 2 pieces there. Yeah, what to do with a curve then? Well, you could consider taking the 6-point field, but there is still the dagger out there to take 4 quick points. So the field here seems to be to take the field seems to be too early. What else is there? Not much, really. Something like this, if you wanna YOLO it and hope you'd get the horse. I wouldn't advise a move like this. If you're ahead and blue is ahead. And even if they'd lose the field to yellow, they'd only be 3 points behind. So if they get, well, there aren't really that many quick point tiles out there. There's the dagger. There is no other open city cap left, so the vanilla doesn't really do anything for you. And then there's the horse to take 2 points somewhere. Monastery isn't really profitable, so maybe taking a ruin in the end. Well, they opt to take the 6-point field. Can't really fault them for that. Downside, though, is yellow immediately gets the horse to take the 4-point road. Consolation prize is the dagger, so yellow won't connect over here. The square is dead. Yellow is at -5. They have 2 moves left. So the monastery would win them the game because they could use it over here for exactly 4 + 1 = 5 points and add these two, one of these two, but only if they get the monastery or the vanilla now and not the cow. The cow can, but it works the same over here. So adding the cow here adds 1 point. Adding the monastery there would add 5 points, although blue could use the vanilla to force yellow to use another square, but there's a 5-point square at the bottom and here as well, so really no problem at all. You just need to get the monastery. Because taking the ruin for 4 points, plus maybe the one from the vanilla, doesn't cut it. And I don't see... Oh, there's this one, of course. Well, then take it. Take it for 5 points, plus either the vanilla for your 6th point or the monastery to add somewhere next to your monastery. And this then should be a +1 win for yellow, and they found it. Living on the edge, but living right. Nazario takes down this game with the closest of margins if you're the starting player. And that should be 1 point. Yep, it is. So he turns the table on random who has now 2 deciders, 2 do or die games. Oh, I forgot. I need to, I think this here. Let's check. Yeah, now it works. So need to set the best of mode because now Nazario and the 2 game wins aren't bold anymore. And again, I'm blubbering on. These 2 don't need any breaks. Machines at work. A pretty useful start for yellow. Only consolation for blue is this meager city here and the first dips at the farm. Yellow will counter after thinking a few seconds about it, but there are still both options available. It's the beginning. You have to meeple the farm there. Excuse me for a moment. Yep, the downside of this year, of course, was that a cow or a horse over here, maybe even a road Dorito, would severely limit this one. Although the cow was the worst option. But then there was still this year, and yellow was able to take it, even though they took the 3 points instead of the open city, which I don't really like. But for now, they still have a chance, or might have a chance, to do something about Blue City. Nice farm for blue, although this orientation helps to find a blocking piece, but given that almost all connection pieces are still out there, except for the one crossroad, maybe in this one here, leaving more options to extend it would have been at least my preference. This has the downside of yellow countering like this and then blocking this square. And in some cases where they liberate their monastery, you'd hate to be forced to kill this square then. Talking about killing, this meeple is dead, but at least it's on a 7-point ruin, which is more or less close to break even. So there are worse things in the world than to be stuck with a 7-point meeple in the late early game. Or is it early mid game? Whatever. Yeah, and they extended 9 points, and 9 points, well, the threshold, the ruin threshold, where you have to think about attacking it, is nearing. Blue doesn't take this cap away, because if they would, then they'd have to decide where to continue first. But if they don't, they allow yellow to snatch it. Here we go. Yellow gets it. Arguably with one of the versatiles, because later on obstruction of blue's road would be possible, and then there's only one of these daggers remaining, and they might need it over here, but get saved by the deck immediately. So that was the risk of this trade, when quite a lot of city plus road caps are already gone. Sure, it protects against an attack from yellow, but it also allows yellow to easier kill your city. In this case, it worked pretty nicely for blue, but this here really doesn't. So will yellow invest the meeple to kill this square? Yeah, I think that's a good choice. Sure, you kill it, so no option to extend your field to the bottom, but you hope to get one of the crossroads anyway, so really no problem. And this one here being stuck at 2 points, well, that's really troublesome for blue. And to add more problems to their list, yellow attacks the ruin. All these moves would be for naught in the end. Blue takes away a few pieces from the connecting pool. So road Doritos and the remaining horse are gone. The cows are gone as well. So only 3 Doritos remaining to connect, and there are still both splitters remaining to liberate. So 2 blue pieces, 3 yellow pieces over here. Looks like a sound equation for blue. So good move using the straight over there. In the meantime, blue took this monastery, weren't able to block here. And Nazario gets another 5 points in the bank, further bolstering their lead, even though with this monastery they connected blue to the main field, so this one is blue's, at least for now. Second crossroads gone, still 2 remaining. Blue connects here, adds another city to their fields. Yellow farm attack incoming. The only decision should be where. And yeah, I think this here works. Problem though is that there are no daggers remaining, but if your opponent gets anything to attack you and you get a road on your next turn, all is fine. Nice consolation for blue though, getting to liberate their monastery and also taking the 9-point field. But yellow is still ahead and they threaten to extend their lead by these 12 points once they get their hands on a crossroad. This here, of course, is dead. So with it, this meeple died. Yeah, and now we are at 7 points plus for Nazario. So yeah, exactly. He can do this one here. But defending the square might still have been the better option. Could have taken all road pieces away, but then it would have been a 50-50 flip for any of the Dorito or Dorito shaped pieces. So if he had used the Dorito over here, and this here by blue would have been a total block. And considering he had the lead and still has the crossroads, doing stuff like this here works as well. There is still an option to attack here. And talking about crossroads, there's always the ninja attack. The problem for blue though is they are down 20 points by now. Did they dump the splitter over there instead of taking the 6 points? At minus 20? That's a luxury I don't think anyone can afford. And this might be one big fat nail in their coffin. No, it's the other way around. Oh, damn it. Oh, I'm sorry, folks. It's too late for me. So of course, blue just dumped this over here. Yeah. Yellow takes the biggest feature of the board. 8-point ruin. Still has the 2 crossroads to take over the 12-point field, and it looks pretty interesting. They haven't connected to the field. They weren't able to connect to the ruin, but they are still at plus 28. And this here is, well, it's game over. If there were at least a way to extend and close this city for blue, yeah, this would be nice. take the city, attack the field, which would then be worth 15 points, so 21 points with 3 moves. You might still have a chance, but in this case, there's no silver bullet left, and yellow gets the crossroad, takes control of the northwestern field, and with it secures their 3rd win in a row. So arguably looked like yellow's first game was the worst they played tonight. And this year definitely was better. Let's quickly translate what Nazario is writing there. Random is writing there. Oh, good luck in the semifinals. Congratulations. Yeah, and Nazario thanks and says it was nice to play with him at this stage. Yeah, I think these two have played loads of games against each other. Dozens. Maybe they even know the other one in real life. I'm not sure. So are we done? No, we aren't. Random still has a move to do. And Nazario as well. And now the lid is on the pot. The game is over. So congratulations, Nazario. If you see this, nicely done. Apart from the first game, I'd say. Let's check who will be waiting in the semi-final, and it's either Sprosen 9 or Adria. Clear-cut favorite should be Adria. I don't know anything about Sprosen, but we'll could fix this in a few seconds. And I just noticed that this one is scheduled for tomorrow at 16 UTC, whereas Lawyer versus Basiliuk is at 17 UTC. Sorry, this is my time zone. Germany UTC +2, at least for now. So I'm very likely to reschedule tomorrow's stream to cover hopefully a lot of Sprosen Adria, and then later take over Lawyers and Basiliuk's game. Just have to check with Labby if that works for him as well, else I'll have to manage on my own for an hour. So definitely interesting. And then the semi-final field should be complete. I will not voice a prediction for the second match, so Lawyer Basiliuk. I really don't know who's in better shape right now, and in general, both of these are top level players from Ukraine, 2 of the 3 or 4 best masters from Ukraine, and on any given day, any one of these 2 can win best of 5. So I just keep my fingers crossed for 5 games and a decider, and I hope closer games than we witnessed in some of the 4 games today. Let's check if there's anything else for tomorrow. Doesn't really look like it. Only these 2. Well, I'll cover them. So, doesn't look. Oh, yeah. Hi, Sergey. Sergey says tomorrow will be the first special rating match, and maybe I have to switch off the dark reader to see it. I don't see it. Sergey, I see 5 stars. I don't see anything special about it. Does it work or does it not? Because what you, dear viewer, don't know is that if there are 2 masters, or currently rated masters, these 5 stars actually should be styled a bit differently. But I don't see it, so maybe it'll get fixed. That's not a problem for me, that's for Sergey. So it will be updated tomorrow. Let's show this on stream as well. Okay, well, and why say it at all? We'll see you tomorrow. Okay, thanks. Folks, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sticking around. Even though this definitely wasn't my A game. I hope to see you tomorrow. Enjoy your evening, day, whatever it is in your time. Yeah, as I said, not my A game. In your time zone. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. If I find the end stream button.